North Carolina, at guard, 6'6". No, that doesn't work at all. Let's try this one. From North Carolina, at guard, 6 foot. Oh, that's worse. Let's try this. From Haskell, New Jersey, the podcast about music, education, and life lessons. This is Getting It Done! Today is Thursday, March 7th, 2019. This is episode 255, The Rules of the Classroom. And now, standing 5'11", with absolutely no basketball skills whatsoever, your host, Tim Rausenberger. Welcome to Getting It Done, and thank you so much for joining us on this amazing Thursday evening. We are going to be tuning in live later on tonight with our second episode on YouTube. We'll be discussing some amazing topics. You'll have a chance to be able to get part of the action by being in the live chat box, but now we have to take care of some business here with episode 255. Before we get into the episode, I must thank you all so very much for all of your love, all of your support that you've provided in only 1 week. Over the course of 1 week, we have grown this channel over 900 views at the time of this recording, over 130 subscribers. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. We need to spread this word because this is some great content. That's what I keep hearing from people. You are doing such great things, Tim. Well, you know what? It's only as great as the people who hear it. And I know how amazing you are because you've tuned in tonight. But you need to spread the word to other people. Share the love. Share Amazon gift cards. Come on, why would you not want something like this? But you gotta wait for the live episodes for those. This week, episode 256, we'll be giving out a $15 Amazon gift card as well as a $15 Walmart gift card for every 100 subscribers. Each time we hit that milestone, 200, 300, you don't even want to know what I'm going to do when we hit 1,000. And we will certainly get there. I'm going to be giving away free prizes. I challenge you to find live podcasts out there that do that every single episode. And why? Because I appreciate you. I thank you so much for joining us tonight on this amazing journey. Let's get into it. The rules of the classroom. So, I have to do, of course, my homage to the great number 23 from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, who years ago came up with his 10 rules for success. And I'm going to go through those 10 rules because I have to give credit where credit is due. They work. They certainly worked for all the championship teams he was a part of and all the greatness that he demanded of other people, just like you as a parent, just like you as a teacher should be demanding from your children, from your students. And we're going to see how can we weave this into our classroom setting or even at home. Let's talk about the 10 rules for success. I'm going to go through these very, very quickly because as much as I love MJ, because as much love as I have for all those amazing championship years, we got to tie it into the classroom here. So, number 1, keep working hard. Number 2, ignite the fire. 3, be different. 4, fail your way to success. 5, have high expectations. 6, be positive. 7, be who you were born to be. 8, have a vision. 9, stop making excuses. And 10, practice. Of course. The question for you is, which of those 10 do you think is going to tie in most effectively with the rules of the classroom? When do the rules of the classroom have to be set? When do the rules for parenting have to be set? Right away. You can't wait around on those things. Rules for the classroom, I've had those types of rules. I've modified them for every environment I've been in. So it does not matter if I've been teaching kindergartners in a general music class. It does not matter if I'm teaching 4th grade beginning band students. It does not matter if I'm teaching a middle school general music class, and it certainly doesn't matter if I am in a director position with a marching band. The rules apply to everyone. There've got to be those rules. There need to be those expectations. We're going to go through those tonight, and how you can present them in a way that right away is going to grab everyone's attention. You're going to be able to command the respect that you rightfully deserve, and at the same time, make sure that the people that are in front of you do not feel intimidated and feel very, very comfortable. What I'm going to do tonight is very simple. It's going to be really no different than if you were actually sitting right here in one of my classes. Right here as a student. And you're going to be able to see how I get this done in the classroom. And again, think about that list. That list, those 10 things, because if you really get down to it, any of those 10 things could apply in some type of way for rules and expectations, but there's one that stands out. We're going to get to it a little bit later on here. So, first of all, what do we do at the beginning of class? We need to take roll call. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that when we're saying all of the students' names, obviously I hope you don't have to worry about this as a parent, but if you're a teacher and you got that roster of names, and some of them might be tough, especially last names, in some cases it might even be the first names. What do you do with that roster? You say the student's name, but before you even say that, you say to the student, do you have a nickname that you like to be called? Hopefully the class is not going to be too silly on the first day. You'll find out who likes to joke around a little bit, who's a wise guy or a wise girl, likes to make little side comments. You're going to find that out pretty quickly during this process, you see. Because what you're going to do is you're going to ask them, is this the name you like to go by? If it's Robert, do you like to go by Rob? Do you like to go by Bob? Do you like to go by Billy Joe Bob Bob? I have no idea. But with whatever the case may be, it's good to ask. You know why? Because you were nice enough to ask. And do you know how many teachers out there don't bother to do that? And they just keep on saying the name of the student, and the student may actually have a nickname that the student prefers, but that student may be too shy. So when you're going through your roll call, you make it abundantly clear that I've got a name like Rausenberger. And I've had people that have destroyed my name over the years. I have had misspellings of the name as recently as yesterday. It actually happened on a piece of apparel that came in my school district, and it was misspelled, and it happens. That's life. It's not the end of the world. Things happen. But as I said in my What's in a Name episode, it's everything. So you got to make sure that the roll call is accurate. Make sure that you are saying their name correctly. If you get it wrong, ask them again. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What rock did you crawl out from under? Now, this does not mean that you get super personal. It doesn't mean that you go through, who your fifth cousins are. But tell the students about yourself. Make sure they know who you are. I give my background. I say that I came from very, very modest means. I have no problem in saying that we had some struggles growing up. I have no problem saying that I've been working since age 14. And I have not stopped working for the last 30 plus years. I never stopped working. And if you get really technical, that was the per hour position in a retail store. If I go back even further, as early as 10, 11 years old, I was a paperboy carrier. I was someone who delivered your papers, but they weren't delivered in the morning. Back then, they were delivered in the afternoon. So I go all the way back to that. And after I do a brief introduction, because you don't want to make it all about yourself, that's a little ridiculous, you then get into a few things about yourself that they should know. First thing I like to tell them that they love to hear, kids love to hear this, you don't yell. Wow. Wow, I have a teacher. That teacher's not going to yell at me. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to raise your voice. That doesn't mean that when you're disappointed, you're not going to make it crystal clear that you're disappointed. And you're not going to say, oh, you were a bad kid. No, you're going to have to probably give them a little bit of tough love, but without yelling. And that is possible to do. I've certainly found ways to change my teaching. Change is important after all. And you know what? It's never too late to change. It's never too late to change if you've been a parent of many years and the approaches you're using with your child are not working. It's not too late if you're a teacher. I was a teacher for nearly 20 years and I started making drastic changes to my teaching. And my new approaches are flat out working and making me more approachable by my students in the classroom. So I make it clear I don't yell. I make it clear that I do not believe in detentions or throwing students out of the room because I just don't believe in it. Here's the reality though. Just about every school district out there has a policy relating to detentions, relating to suspensions. And as a teacher, I say to students, I don't believe in doing that myself. However, I have a job and you have to understand that I have a job. Now, it depends on the student population you're dealing with. If you're talking to a bunch of first grade students in a suburban school district, chances are you probably don't have to get into detentions and suspensions. In my situation, I teach in an urban high school. It's a very different situation there, where students probably have received detentions or suspensions for various offenses. So I make it clear to them from the beginning. It's not something that I like to do, but it might be something where I have to do it. And you need to understand you have rules to follow as a student. I have rules I have to follow. I can't just walk in with whatever I feel like walking in to school with. If it were up to me, I'd wear a hoodie. I'd wear sweatpants or shorts all day. But you know what? I can't do that because it's part of my own dress code. Do I have to wear a tie? No, I don't have to wear a tie. Do I prefer to? Yes. Why? For me, it's a conversation piece. When my students see me wear my Michael Jordan tie, they go crazy. They love it. Where'd you get that tie from? And what's even more cool about this particular tie, on the back of the tie, it's from the Michael Jordan line. So they're like, wow, that's really amazing. So that's a way that you're connecting with a student. Right away, right off the bat. I tell them that I play video games. That doesn't mean I play video games every single day. But you know what? I do tell them. I tell them that I've been playing video games since I was little, since I was their age. Yeah, back in the dark ages. Pac-Man did exist. I played arcade games, and I had a video game console at home. It would happen to be the Odyssey, by the way, not the Atari 2600. And you know what? I was proud of my Odyssey. I love sports. I love games in general. Yeah, you know what? You're communicating. You're letting those kids know you're just like them. You have the same interests as them. You have the same things that they did that you did while they're growing up, while they are doing while you are growing up. You know what I'm saying here. The bottom line is that you are relating to the kids. You are making it clear to them that you get them. You understand. And now when you have this happy face and you're engaged and you are scanning the room, and yet that first class you may notice some kids are a little bit itchy there. Some kids are starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. You don't really want to be in a situation where you're having to yell at students or raise your voice on that first day of class. You really want to do everything you can to try to avoid that. But you make the mental notes. And if you see someone that's kind of getting a little bit out of control there, or whatever the case may be, doing something maybe a little bit inappropriate in class, as long as it's not going over the edge, make a little note. Make a little note there. And then maybe you have to do a little following up, check out what's going on with this particular child as I'm getting to know everyone on my roster. Whether you're a classroom teacher teaching 25 children, or you're a specialist like me where I've had to learn 400, 500, 600 names. And I have a week to do it. Because the next week, you're expected to know those names. when you do the roll call again, you better get your pronunciations right the second time around. And if you don't, it's okay, but you need to ask for forgiveness, and they will forgive you, as I said in a previous episode. We're going to talk about the band stuff, the chorus stuff, the general stuff, music stuff tomorrow. You know why? Because it's more important in the first class to make a connection. That's more important than anything else. You need to lay down your rules and expectations. Why are you in such a rush? Why must you sing? Why must you play the instruments? Do we really have to take the trumpets out, have kids dropping the trumpets, maybe not trying to make sounds right away? No, that's not necessary. Make the connection. Connections are everything in this world. So you make it clear, no, we're not going to do that today. And then you'll hear the, good, good. Hopefully they do have that reaction. So then they know next week you can't wait to come to my class because I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z, and you have it all set, ready to go. As far as attendance is concerned, depends on the situation. If the students are coming to you or you're picking up the students, you don't have to worry about it as much. But if you're in a high school like me, you're in a middle school situation where the students are coming to your class and they have a passing time, you need to make it clear, do not be late to my class. Why not be late to my class? I don't want you to be late because it's not so much about the tardy policy. It's not so much about the fact that, you missed a minute, it's the end of the world. No, it is the end of the world. Do you know why, boys and girls? Because I prepare for this 40-minute lesson. I plan on using all 40 of those minutes. All of them. I don't write lesson plans. I tell them I write lesson plans. Yeah, I have homework. Yeah, I have homework just like you do. Oh, you're complaining about your homework and you have tests. You don't think I don't? Of course I do. And I tell my students that. They know that I can be held accountable, or else I don't have my job anymore. That's pretty understandable. And any person can understand that. 5-year-olds will understand that. They feel bad, they have homework. If they know the teacher has homework, I'll bet a lot of them don't realize that. Try to make it relatable to them. Make sure they understand that you have the same struggles that they do. The struggle is real. So I say don't be late to my class. Why not be late to my class? Because I'm going to start the class as soon as the bell rings. And you need to get that ingrained in their brains and get into a routine that they need to be seated already. And if they're in situations where, I understand in a band class, of course, they're not going to magically just be able to make the flute appear. Okay, they're going to have to go to wherever it is. If they brought it into the classroom with them, or they have to go into a locker, they have to get the instrument out, they have to assemble it. It takes time, but you also can have a timer that's set. You can be yelling out 2 minutes, yell out 1 minute, 30 seconds. You do a countdown. You do a countdown, you would be amazed at how quickly they move. And are you a taskmaster? Absolutely you're a taskmaster. You know why? Because when you're that taskmaster, then you have the ability to ease up on the reins. But if you're too easygoing, hey boys and girls, how are you today? Oh, it's okay, Johnny, you can hit Sally. No. So you're the taskmaster, then you can ease up. It can't be the other way around. You can't be the nice guy. You can't be the nice gal, and all of a sudden you decide to come at them later on. It just doesn't work that way, so keep that in mind. Okay, other different types of things that you may want to talk about. If you're in a chorus situation, in particular, I'm sure that a lot of people have a no gum type of policy. Me personally, where I teach, they're not really fans of gum. I look at gum as a stress relief. I really do, because it is. It does relieve stress, and there are a lot of kids that need to relieve their stress, and as long as they're not going to be singing or playing an instrument, I'm fine with them. They know that the second that they need to sing, this is something you can get into, into our windpipe. It could be a situation where you can get into the instrument, so we need to get rid of the gum. If that's the case, you need to check with your school policies, make sure that you know anything involving water. I have no problem. I have kids that bring water to my room all the time. Maybe your school doesn't want that. They don't want any beverages in the room, including water. Food. You might be in a situation, depends on the time of day. I know that in my school, when we get to the end of the day, some of my kids, they had lunch a long, long time ago. And you know what? Some of them are hungry. You know what I do? I feed them. Yes, I do. I do feed them. I make sure that I have the types of foods that they're not going to be having allergic reactions to. But I don't feed them every single day, just in emergency situations. Why? It's a humane thing to do. Now, I understand that some of you out there, again, may have administrations that say absolutely under no circumstances can you have food in the room, and I get that. I'm just letting you know that it might be something to explore. Give them the rationale. What's the worst thing that can happen? They're going to say no. If nothing else, maybe you put the idea into their mind. Hey, you know, I'm getting these kids at 2:15. I have to end the day with them. They ate at 11. You know, I don't care who you are, I don't care what age you are. There's a really good chance you're going to be hungry. And you know what? When kids are hungry and they're thinking about food, you know what they're thinking about? They're thinking about going home. They're thinking about getting a hold of some food, getting something into their bellies. I don't care who you are, because I know at 2:15, if I haven't eaten anything since 11, you know, I can get into my mode, but I have my moments where I'm a little bit, you know, I'm feeling a little frisky and wanting a little bit of food there, okay? You need to remind them about policies of the school. You need to talk about things like cell phones. What's the cell phone policy in your school? They're not allowed to have them in my school. Yeah, kids don't like it at all. What do? I set up cell phone chargers. I have the whole strip of them along there. I got about 40 chargers there for the kids. They have to put their phones on the chargers. That's the policy. You can do that, or you can put it in your pocket. I don't want to see it during class, though. I'm not interested. And besides, it's against my school's policy. So you can address things like that, talk about that. Now, let's get to the dynamics of the classroom. What's important about the classroom? You know what kids need to know? They need to know, are there tissues and where are they? Are they allowed to get up and get a tissue at any given time? Did you ever think about that? Yeah. They need to know. They don't know where they are. It's the first time they've been in your room. Are you allowed to have hand sanitizer out? We are in my school. I have hand sanitizer all over my desk. I've got the wipes. I've got everything ready to go. The kids know. You don't have to ask my permission. You just come up and get it. And you know what's great is a lot of my kids actually, still out of respect, they'll still ask if they can get a tissue, or they'll ask to get some hand sanitizer. I only want them to take it because, quite honestly, I don't want the germs to be spread around the room. So make that really clear so they know what they can touch and also what they can't touch. You're talking about personal items on your desk. You need to lay down the law on that day. You may not touch X, Y, and Z on my desk. You probably don't want someone touching your stapler without your permission, or your tape without your permission, or paper, or pencils, or pens, whatever the case may be. You may not want them to do that. Do you have a routine? A routine every single day. Do you know what that routine is going to be? If you're in a music classroom, I have chorus classes that I teach. My kids know. Unless I tell them otherwise, as I'm greeting them at the door every single day, they know they have to get their folders out. They just know. Why? Because I instilled it in their brains right at the beginning of the school year. Right away. They know they have to get it out. They know they have to be standing in front of their chair, ready to go for warm-ups. Every single day. It has to be a routine. In terms of the opening of the day, where you're a homeroom teacher, there are specific things where the children may need to put things in specific areas of the classroom. You might be a music teacher. You might have the non-music kids that are in your homeroom. That happens frequently. I had many situations where I had homerooms over the years with children who were not part of the music program. This wasn't a music class for them. But it was an opportunity for them to learn that we have a routine. This is how homeroom is run. These are my expectations for this room. And often what I'll say is not my room. I will say our room. Our room. Or at least the room. But instead of, if you keep on saying my room, you're being very, very possessive. That's not a good idea. You definitely want to make them feel a lot more like they have some ownership. They feel a lot more included in the process rather than excluded altogether. If you have music equipment in your classroom, probably want to say, no, you don't probably want to say, you definitely need to say. You need to say flat out, you can't touch music equipment. I've even gone so far, I'll actually do on the first day, with younger kids especially. They love it. Oh, they love it. With younger kids, what I'll do, I'll be really, really goofy. I'll be really, really goofy. And I'll do 4 different types of students. And the first student I'll act like I'm leaving the classroom. Of course, can't leave the classroom, can't leave the kids unattended. But I'm going to act like I'm going to leave the classroom. And I'm going to say, here we go, student number 1. And I'll walk into the classroom. I'll do exactly what the good student, the well-behaved student is supposed to do. And that's that. And then I go to leave the room again. Then I come back in as student number 2. And this time that student is a little bit crazier, doing some things, maybe pushing some people a little bit and trying to get to their chair a little bit quicker than they should. And then when they sit down, instead of sitting quietly or standing, whatever the routine is, they start talking to their neighbors. And then I go back to the door and I do student number 3 and I'll come in and now that person's really crazy. And that person's starting to run around a little bit. And actually not a little bit, they're starting to run around a lot and they're really making a scene in the class. Eventually they get settled, and then student number 4 is the crazy person. The person who is touching all the instruments, touching all the things that they're not supposed to be touching in the room, and really causing a massive disruption and just not stopping. And you say to them, which student are you expected to be? What's their answer going to be? Of course, every single time the answer is going to be number 1. And then they're shocked to find out that I expect them to be at least a 2. And they look at me and they're like, what? What did you say? A 2? Yeah. You know why? Because you're human. Because you're going to have bad days. Now, we can't have the bad day to the point of being number 4. You can't be coming in trashing my room. And not even number 3 where you're running around the room. I mean, come on now. It doesn't matter what age you are. Okay, we have to be able to control that behavior. If we're in a 2nd grade classroom, we're going to have exercises and things we're going to do that involve movement. But to expect the children every single day to walk in a very specific way, what if that child had a really rough morning? Did you ever account for that? I can tell you right now, I have to account for that every single day where I work. Every single day where I work. And that's what makes my job so fantastic. Because you know what? You can be that happy face. You can be that person that greets them at the door and gives them a big smile, and you say their name and you ask them how their day is, and they tell you that their day is rotten and they're not feeling well. You know what? You can probably still find something to say positive, and you can at least display some empathy. You might be the only person the entire day who does that. Parents, you need to think about it the same way. Your child is coming home from school, you need to sit there. And when the child says to you, when you know the situation, you say to the child, how was your day? What is the answer 99% of the time? Ready? Say it right now. Right. Good. That's what they say every single time. Good. How was math class today? Good. How was music class today? Good. Well, I hope it wasn't just good. Hopefully they had a little bit of fun in my class. But you got the point, though. You got to ask your questions a little bit differently. You got to change things up. You got to throw them, you know, don't keep throwing those straight fastballs anymore. You got to throw them a little curve there. Okay, maybe come up with a different line of questioning as to how you're going to be able to extract that information that you want to know from the child. Maybe the child had a really bad day. Maybe the child is being bullied at school and you need to find out what's going on, why they're acting a little bit different. All right, so establishing these expectations can involve so many different types of things. Now, let's go back to Michael Jordan's list. Now, he said all these different types of things, all these different types of expectations that you can establish. You can, of course, talk about respect. We can talk about all the different things about being positive and being a better person and practicing and having a vision and be you and ignite that fire. But you know what, though? Here's the number one thing that I make clear to children. I want you to be involved. I want you to participate. I want you to fail. What? He wants me to fail. Why would he want me to fail? Number 4, fail your way to success. Life is not all about success. It just doesn't work that way. And yes, at age 4 in preschool, they need to know this. Now, this is life. It does not mean you speak to them the same way as when they're 11, or when they're 14, or when they're 18, or when they're 28. But you do need them to know that you're going to fail. It's okay. Do you know that some of my best participants over the years have been the kids that are either shy in class, or the kids that do not have high opinions of themselves, have low self-esteems, and also think to themselves, you know what, I have the wrong answer, I'm not going to answer. Do you know that those are some of my best participants in class? That's a fact. And I can't stand classes. I don't like classes. I don't like the classes that are quiet. I don't want a quiet class. Because when the class is quiet, if you're not having a dialogue with your class, then how can you know what they're learning? Think about that. Is it because the child is quiet every single time that means that they're learning and retaining everything? Not so sure about that. They might be. Okay? Might be a smart cookie. Might be able to retain every single thing that you're saying without any visual aids. But you know what though? Most people aren't like that. I need visual aids. I know that if I were watching this podcast right now, there's a possibility I might get a little bit bored. I might get a little bit distracted by something else, and I might be looking at something else, or I might be doing some other type of work or checking something else out. I could see that happening. But at the very least, one of the reasons I'm on YouTube now is because I want you to be able to see my face and see how animated I am. And yeah, I do move my hands every so often, and no, I'm not Italian. That's just if you're wondering. But fail your way to success. And this is one of my favorite lines. I love saying this line. I will say to children, not usually at the first class, but I will say to them at some point, because of my failures, that's why I'm your teacher. That's why I'm here. Because here's the reality, boys and girls. When I was 22 years old, I had my plan all set. And my plan was to be a professional singer, and that's what I was going to do. I had a double major. I majored in instrumental music education. I majored in voice performance. But you know what? At that point in my life, 22 years old, time to grab the world. And I was going to sing. I was going to make it. And I applied to 4 graduate schools, 4 outstanding schools that I still to this day have the utmost respect for, because all 4 of them communicated with me effectively. They gave me great feedback, and they all rejected me. And I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. Oh, it was devastating. It was devastating. It was tough. And no, I didn't get a job right out of college. I didn't get a job right after that failure. And then I went through some more failures. And then I went through some more failures. And then I got my first job. And I had lots of successes, but I had a lot of failures along the way too. And there were things that I did that were great, and there were mistakes that I made. And I own that. I own that. And you say that to kids. Wow. Now it changes the whole conversation. But do you do that, or are you just tough on them all the time? Remember, children are not midget adults. And I do not say that in a derogatory way whatsoever. But I do say it in a type of way in terms of taking the word midget, in terms of people thinking that a child is a small adult. They're not. They're absolutely not. They are learning. They are growing in so many different ways. And it's your job as a parent, it's your job as a teacher to mold them, to guide them in the right direction. Not to be correcting them every 2 seconds over every single little mistake they made. So knowing right away, wow, this guy likes sports. This guy actually plays video games. He grew up in a situation similar to mine. He grew up in a neighborhood similar to mine. And wow, He said, failure's just like me. Chances are they're going to connect with you pretty well. You know, there's no real, this is the secret sauce, I guess, if you want to call it that. I guess I'm revealing my secrets. You know why? Because I want you to be better. I want all of us to be better. Because everything else in this world that seems to be out there that we have thrown in our face every single day, as I've said over and over, is negativity. We don't need any more negativity. That's what they have every single day, unfortunately. It's just the way that it is, the way of our world. Be the positive light. Be that person that's going to change that child's life. And it's got to start in that first class with your rules and expectations. As always, thank you so very much for tuning in. I cannot wait for episode 256 later on tonight. We're going to be talking about job interviews. We're going to be talking about careers. You do not want to miss this episode. I know that sounds like so cliche. You don't, though. Because even if you have your career already set, you're going to want to watch that episode. Because you may find there are things that you want to change. And if you are struggling at job interviews, or you've never done a job interview before, and you have no idea what to expect, I'm going to clue you in. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support, all the love. And as I say all the time, the wealthiest people in the world are not the ones with all the money. The wealthiest people are the ones who are going to share their ideas, and they're going to give their heart to others. Peace.